Yeah. How's it going, everybody? I feel like it is officially football season. And as is the case every year, we are going to go through some win total bets. I feel like this is where we make the majority of our money every single year. This is the best part. Tonight, we're going to do AFC. Luke Reimer is with me. I am Zach Brunner. We're going to go through the win total projections for every single AFC team. We're going to say if we think the higher or the lower for every single one, and we'll make note on which ones we are pretty confident on. Every single year, there's a couple where it's like, why is this set the way it is? Like
Yeah.
it was a couple years ago, or maybe it was last year, the Giants were set at a really weird spot. We're like, what are they even doing? I'm not sure. All of the odds that we use tonight are going to be from BetUS Sportsbook. If you are not familiar, if you do not have an account on the screen, you can scan that QR code and it'll take you to BetUS Sportsbook and you can get a big bonus, I think up to $3,000 in deposit bonuses using our link right here. Otherwise, in the description, you can also click the link there. BetUS Sportsbook, you can use anywhere in America. So Luke and I are currently in Wisconsin. We cannot just log on to a DraftKings Sportsbook and stuff like that, but we can log on to BetUS Sportsbook and place bets there for real money. I've had zero issues putting money in, getting money out. Completely safe, completely regulated. It's just an offshore book, essentially, but everything's good. You can trust us there, so definitely go and do that. Claim your bonuses in time for a football season, and let's make some money with some of these bets. Anything you want to say before we get going? Big cut day in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like you kind of set it off the bat there, right? It kind of feels like football season, like preseason, of course, but it kind of feels like the cut day is really the start of lock in and football's here.
Does feel that way, and there's a couple weird ones. I think we're going to see a few more trades. There's going to be more notable players, I think, signed soon.
Yeah.
We still got Dalvin Cook probably signing in Dallas. We got a couple other running backs out there. Michael Thomas at wide receiver. People are thinking there's nothing much to that, but like if he signs to Pittsburgh, that changes a lot. I think.
Sure.
I think that changes an offense.
Yeah. There's a couple quarterbacks floating around. Yeah, there's some players that could be signed.
Quarterbacks is weird. Quarterbacks can. There's some guys that can change a lot. I feel like if you put Jameis Winston in Vegas, or I mean a few places, then you can still got Tyler Huntley, who I think's a stud. A few guys out there. Ryan Tannehill's still out there. He's serviceable. We'll see. I just took these teams as they were on BetUS, I believe. I did group them into divisions. So let's start with the AFC East. And the top team projection-wise in the division is the Buffalo Bills. They are set at 10.5 wins. I did write down the win total for all of these teams from last year, too, so we can compare a little bit. The Bills won 11 games. Obviously, they're completely different this year. They got rid of Stephon Diggs. Their defensive backfield is completely different. I think offensively, they're going to be running a lot of 12 personnel. I think we're going to see a lot of Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox on the field together, which probably means a slower offense, less high scoring, certainly less explosive. Set at 10.5 wins. Like they're still considered a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. They're not a Super Bowl contender.
No,
at all,
crazy. Like they're totally on the downside here.
It feels that way. Like there's no way they pick up and are right where they were last year, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're like it kind of feels like they kind of got into cap hell here. I mean, you lose Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, Tre'Davious White, Jordan Poyer, and Micah Hyde. That's a lot of big pieces to a team that's supposedly a Super Bowl contender.
And they lost Matt Milano already, right?
Yeah,
I believe that's a big loss on their front seven there. At the current moment, there's no way this is right. If this is right, this feels wrong. Right now, the depth chart has DeMar Hamlin as their starting free safety. That can't be right.
If that is, they are going to be torched in the secondary.
Yeah. It's a nice gesture, maybe to list him there. There's no shot. But yeah, I think this still is going to be a decent team. I think Keon Coleman is looking better than I thought he would, rookie.
Yeah.
I think Curtis Samuel is going to be huge in this offense, and I think Khalil Shakir, before the draft, we loved him. Like he's a stud. Yeah. I don't feel super strongly about this, but I still feel like if I'm picking a side, I'm picking the lower. I would like they can still win 10 games and go lower.
Right. Being at 10.5, I don't know. I just have their schedule pulled up here. Like they probably beat the Patriots twice, right? But other than that, they have the Dolphins twice, the Jets twice, Jaguars they probably beat, Titans they probably beat. But then they got Chiefs, 49ers, Texans, Colts, Ravens, Rams, Seahawks, and Lions on the roster or on their schedule. That's a lot of tough games.
Yeah. And again, they have to do just as well as last year to hit the higher. And the Jets are completely different this year.
Right.
Yeah. For me, it's the lower or the under.
I'm with you for sure.
Okay. Dolphins, again, they also won 11 games last year. They are currently at 9.5. So we're talking 9 wins or 10 wins for higher or lower, over, under. Dolphins, I think, also got pretty clearly worse this year. Their offensive line is much worse, and it wasn't good to begin with. Tua is, I mean, truthfully, the over under that I kind of want to talk about is number of games Tua is going to play because he's going to get hurt. This offensive line is so bad. There's no shot he plays every game. So, like, if he plays, let's be generous and say 12 games, like, so what's Skylar Thompson going to do? I don't trust this team whatsoever. Do you?
Yeah, I'm with you totally on the offensive line. The defense, give or take, whatever. I don't think it's a defense that's going to win them games by any means. And again, it's a similar schedule to the Bills, of course. But Dolphins, they take on the Packers. I think they get the Rams on there. Like they have tough games as well. 9.5. This kind of feels like an 8-9 team to me. They do have the stars on offense that could, win them. Like Tyreek Hill's going to win them a couple games. The combination of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle for sure. But is 10 wins attainable? I don't know that 10 wins is attainable. And if that's the case, you factor in Tua being out, I could definitely see this going under.
I mean, this is a team that they went, to the opposite. They approach the offseason exactly opposite of how I would. So maybe I'm a little bit angry about that, but like they feel like it feels like a fantasy football team. Like, let's just add more star power to cover up the fact that we can't win in the trenches. Offensive line's terrible. Defensive line, they lost Christian Wilkins, who I think played every single snap for them last year.
Yeah.
Like that's a massive, massive, massive loss. And then they have 2 or 3 guys coming off of Achilles tears for their edge rushers. Like they added Calais Campbell. I love Calais Campbell. Is he going to replace someone who's an all-pro and played every single snap? Hell no. No shot.
Yeah, you're right. This is a team that I make it mad.
Yeah, super fun team. Yeah. We play in a guillotine where you draft a full team. I would love to have the Dolphins team with all those like skilled guys.
For sure.
And I think their offense is going to be good. But their offense is always good in September, October, maybe November. It's just that they lose their home field advantage at the end of the year. And if they lose their home field advantage and they're hurt, they have no shot. So like 9.5, I feel comfortable taking under that. Like I think they're an 8 or 7 win team to me.
I would rather take the under than the over.
Yeah, 10's tough to get. Next one is the Patriots. They're set at 4.5. That's going to be the lowest we talk about tonight. They won 4 games last year. They had like 7 or 8 other games that they lost by 1 score, I think. Like Bill Belichick had them in every single game. But this is a team that's not better for sure.
No.
Like personnel-wise, and then talk about coaching-wise, they're going to have to figure out their identity. 5 wins is tough to assume.
Whether he's right or not, I don't love Gerard Mayo saying that Drake May is the second best quarterback on the team after spending the 3rd overall pick on him. The Patriots are probably, they're probably in the lowest tier in the NFL right now, right? They're in the midst of a major rebuild. 5 is doable. It's tough. This whole AFC East has a tough schedule just based on the divisions they're playing. So I think this is another under. I think we're 3 for 3 for unders here.
Yeah, to your point, Drake May, everyone knows he's the best quarterback there. Everybody does, including Gerard Mayo. The only reason not to put him out there is because the offensive line's so bad and you don't want him to get hurt. So just listen to the coach. He's saying this is not a good football team. Take the under. Don't need to overthink this one.
Yeah, agreed. This may be the biggest don't overthink it. The Patriots aren't that great of a team.
No. And every single year, it's like special teams is incredible. Defense is very good. They're going to stay in the game. Now special teams isn't very good. They lost, what's his name? The gunner who was all pro for like 50. Slater. He's gone. That's massive.
Yep.
They lose a kicker who was bad. I don't know who their new kicker is. I guess I can look right now. Their kicker last year was, they got Joey Sly. I don't have confidence in Joey Sly. And then defensively, I mean, they lose Judon, they lose a bunch of people, so don't love it. Jets are at 9.5. You and I are both huge Aaron Rodgers fans. Obviously, they won 7 games last year. Obviously, without Aaron Rodgers, I feel like they are a 10-win team. Do you?
Yeah, I mean, they were a quarterback away from the playoffs last year.
Yeah. And it's not even close to bold to say that they could win this division. They should. Right. They should be considered favorites. They're not, but I feel like they should.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they certainly have the best running back. Skill positions, it's hard to argue Miami, but Jets are affecting good skill positions. I mean, the defense is not even close for the best in this division. And there's still people saying that the Jets have a horrible offensive line, which is crazy. It's just another way that people just don't know about offensive line, which is crazy. Because the Jets almost overhauled their entire offensive line, and it is much better than it was last year. Come to the fact you have Aaron Rodgers, who is maybe the greatest quarterback of all time. And I'm over. Maybe it's my bias, but I'm over 9.5. I think the Jets win this division. I think they lose maybe 5 or less games this year, man.
Yeah, I think you can argue the Jets have durability issues on the offensive line, but even still with that, I think that's kind of a lazy take. Yeah. Not only is that not a weakness anymore, they have the best offensive line in the division. I don't think it's necessarily close. And they kind of have depth. I mean, they got Max Mitchell, who's a second-year player. He was thrown in to be a starter. He wasn't ready to be a starter. I think he's kind of talented. He's a backup tackle. They drafted Fashanu. He's in the first round. He's not starting. He can easily go in there. Wes Schweitzer is an interior guy. I think they're fine. Yeah, I think they're fine. And if they somehow can get Hassan Reddick on board, then that defense is even scarier. That's
another thing.
Huge.
People are talking about the Jets. They don't know what they're doing. The defense, whatever. Hassan Reddick's not going to say. They almost made the playoffs without Hassan Reddick last year.
Yeah, the defense has been elite while playing from behind.
Right.
If they play with a lead, then all of a sudden, we can blitz. We haven't even been able to send the dogs after the passer yet. Yeah. That's what this team was built to do.
I guess my only concern with them is the coaching, but we've seen Aaron Rodgers with bad coaching before. And it's, he's been NFC championship game level.
Yeah. And then, I think Salah's a bad coach. I don't even think it's mediocre. This is a team where it's if they lose their first 2 games, get Bill Belichick in here immediately.
Yeah, for sure.
Clean house, send the Belichicks there. It'll be fine. Heading to the AFC North, we have the Ravens at 10.5. They won 13 games last year, obviously reigning, defending MVP. Lamar Jackson's there. They're undergoing quite a few changes, not just personnel-wise, but also coaching-wise. They have 2 new coordinators, I think. At least 1.
Yeah.
No, Monken's still there.
You're right.
Same offensive coordinator, but different offense. They have to run a different offense with Derrick Henry there. They can't just put him to the side of Lamar Jackson, expect him to run the football. It just won't work. And then we talked about the Jets' revamped offensive line. That's because they took 2 starters from the Ravens. I think the Ravens' offensive line is still decent, but not as good. And the division theoretically should be better. 10.5 wins. This is a really tough one for me because I love the Ravens. But what do you think? Do you think they can get to 11 or no?
This is another one, and coming off the bat here, I think the whole AFC North they're also a very tough schedule. I think what I read was Browns, Ravens, Steelers are the 3 hardest schedules just based on winning percentage from last year. Now I know things change, but this is a team that they're going to start off with the Chiefs. I think that really sets the tone right for the season. I would love to see that game in December, but I get why it's the number one game of the season. I think if they win that game, I love the 10.5. I know you can't bet like this. I love the 10.5. They lose, then I think it's right around that 10. If Lamar Jackson is good enough to probably win like 5-6 games by himself. So you add some extra pieces. I'll bet the 10.5. I think the Ravens are one of the teams that are probably adept to making a run in the AFC other than Kansas City. And it'll be fun. It'll be fun rooting for the Ravens. So I'll go for the 10.5. I'll go over that.
Yeah, they're a great team. They also lose Patrick Queen. They lose their defensive coordinator. I think they lose week 1 just because, I mean, that's a lot to ask of a new defensive coordinator, new team to play the Chiefs right away. But like I wrote down my win projections for all these teams. I have them at 11. So I have them just going the over. But if I'm putting confidence level rankings on all of these, that one's a coin flip to me. I think they're going to be 10 or 11 wins.
I agree. I don't love betting on this. It's another one where the AFC North is probably one of the best divisions of football, right? So
For sure.
I think if they can come away with 4 or 5 wins, like 5 is gonna be tough in that division. But if they can get 5, I really like 11 or more.
Yeah, that's fair. Bengals are also set at 10.5 right now. They won 9 games last year. Obviously, they had Joe Burrow out for a bunch of games. Joe Burrow feels like he's on a revenge tour, which I love. I really like him. But this is a Bengals team that has been, the past several years, it's been, we are the youthful team. We don't know what we don't know. We're just here to play ball. We have no drama. We're just college superstars looking to win games. Now, all of a sudden, they have a bunch of drama. Now they feel like they have to prove themselves. Like that hasn't been a thing before. And I just don't know. I don't know.
Nope.
I love Joe Burrow. I fully believe in Joe Burrow. But I also understand he's one hit away from being done for the season.
Right. It like the honeymoon phase of them making Super Bowl kind of feels like it's over, right? I'm totally with you. I think Joe Burrow is probably a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, right? When everyone's healthy. I love Jamar Chase. I love their skill guys. It'll be interesting to see how the running game goes. And maybe this is a little side for a fantasy talk here. But me and you both are Zach Moss guys. Does this signing for Zach Moss, does this feel like Mike Davis to Atlanta a couple of years back?
It does feel like that.
Doesn't it?
A lot, actually. Yeah.
So
I'm also very afraid Chase Brown is going to be the guy just because I know Zach Moss is going to get mossed.
Right. So I don't know, and I don't know that has a huge effect on this Bengals team. I don't love the defense. I think like it's another thing like the Ravens. It's going to be tough to they're going to fight to go 500 in the division, and I think all 4 teams are going to fight to go 500 in the division. So it's not a slight at the Bengals, but I don't know. This team is not nearly as good as what that 2021 team was that made the Super Bowl. So I think I'm taking the under here. This is another one I'm probably staying away from betting, but it's hard to bet against Joe Burrow. But if I have to, I'm going to take the under.
There was also drama with, I think it was Sam Hubbard. It was either Sam Hubbard or Trey Hendrickson. One of the two wanted to get paid, wasn't getting paid, demanded a trade, and then there was nothing. So I don't know what's going on there, but it's just one of those things where it's like Jamar Chase, I would assume his deal gets done before the season. If it doesn't, I think that's a mistake. And then T. Higgins, he like, how do you feel if you're T. Higgins? Like either they have to pay Jamar Chase yet, or they just did pay Jamar Chase and there's no money left for you. So if I get hit and I'm feeling a little sore, I'm staying down. Yeah, I'm not pushing it. Fuck it.
For sure.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't love it. So again, they're at 10.5. I think it's far more likely they go under that to me.
Agreed. 9 feels a lot more realistic than 11.
Yeah, and they could be a very good 9-win team, to your point about the division. Next, I have Cleveland. They are at 8.5, just to talk about how good this division is. Steelers are also 8.5. But we're talking Browns right now. Browns won 11 games last year. They went on that late season run with Joe Flacco. They have yet to look good under Deshaun Watson. Is that fair to say? Like, I feel like he hasn't looked good at all yet.
I was going to ask what even is Deshaun Watson?
I don't know. And I'm sure it's blown out of proportion, but I hate that he's sitting out of practices and preseason games with a sore arm.
Yeah, I hate it.
I hate it.
For a guy who sat out last year.
Yeah, and he hasn't played in any preseason games. He's fine, good to go. And I hate that they're getting rid of Jameis Winston. We're trying to trade him.
Agreed.
that's a locker room guy. Like if there's one player Deshaun Watson needs backing him up, it's Jameis Winston. And now he's
Right.
not going to get that. Don't love that. Nick Chubb
I
is at least a month away,
yeah.
but I
I
expect him
would
to
guess
come back
more.
and look good.
Yeah.
Probably.
Always. I do like the defense. I do like the offensive line. I mean, Cleveland has over the last couple of years, they've at least built probably one of the best defensive in the NFL. Plus, they just keep getting guys for the offensive line, big fucking behemoths. As we saw with kind of Jerome Ford kind of exploding a little bit last year. I think it helped Joe Flacco a lot that he had time to throw and find open guys. I'm an Amari Cooper guy. I'm a David Njoku guy. I think they have skill guys to win games. I think the Browns, and I think it's probably so I'm going to say I think the number 2 in this division is probably going to come down to the Browns and Bengals, but I don't see the Steelers coming in fourth. This is just a weird division to me, man.
Mm-hmm.
But 8.5, I think Browns can go 500, right?
For sure. They're going to be right. All of these teams are going to be right there. It's so tough. It's going to be one game either way. It's how healthy are these teams going to be. It just comes down to that. And it's like, okay, which of these 4 teams do you trust the quarterback to play most of the games? Joe Burrow has shown he can get injured very easily. And Deshaun Watson's sitting out with a sore arm.
Yeah.
He's gotten all of his money. He's one I don't trust him to play every game, whether he is actually hurt or not. I don't trust it. So that's where I'm iffy about the Browns. But I think they're well coached. I think their offensive line's really good, even though they went down to like their 4th and 5th string tackles last year. They just got destroyed with injuries. They're tough. And I actually like the Jerry Jeudy signing for how critical I've been of him. I think he kind of fits there. I think he's going to be okay. Yeah. I have them at 8 wins, though. So I have them just under. And again, coin flip. 8-9 wins. That's where they're going to be. They have to.
Yeah. I think they can go 5. I'll take the over. I think they can go 509 and 8 at least.
Yeah, all these teams are going to be good. And then we got Steelers. Steelers are at 8.5. They won 10 games last year. Their defense is still very, very good. You could argue it's even better now with Patrick Queen there this year. Offensively, they get an actual offensive coordinator, and I would say a damn good one in Arthur Smith. Their offensive line gets better. They got Zach Frazier at center. They got Fatanu probably starting at tackle. He should start at tackle. And then receiving-wise, they got rid of Deontay Johnson. I don't think that's a big deal, and I think they are a very strong candidate to either get Michael Thomas or Brandon Ayuk still. So I think their receiving core is going to get better as well. It comes down to the quarterback. I think they're going to go with Russell Wilson just because he doesn't throw interceptions. I think the Steelers are really good. I really do.
I do too. I mean, and they now that Belichick's out, they might have the best coach in the NFL.
That's fair. Him, Andy Reid, they're all right there.
Yeah. It's another one where, the Steelers have ever since Ben retired, it kind of feels like they've won in spite of the quarterback, right? They won, piss pounding the run, hard nose on defense. The same thing that we've always expected from the Steelers. Does the quarterback get better? I guess, I'm not on this boat that everyone thinks that this is a major upgrade at quarterback for the Steelers.
I agree.
I do think that they're, if Steelers go 2 and I don't know, maybe 1 and 3, 2 and 2. I think we see a little bit of Justin Fields, and I think the Steelers would be wise to do so. I've been very critical of Justin Fields. I think he's an athlete and he can play. I don't know at what capacity, but he's worth putting on the field. 8.5. It's another one. Is it last year the entire division was over 500? I feel like that could happen again this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are 4 really good teams.
Very good teams. Very good teams, good defenses. They play in the elements. They can all run the ball. It's tough. Russell Wilson last year was bad. Yeah. I don't think anyone would argue otherwise. Not as bad as the year before, but he was bad. He still completed 2/3 of his passes, and he threw 26 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. If he can do exactly that, that's a major upgrade for the Steelers. The issue becomes if he starts throwing interceptions. He needs to get the ball out. He needs to throw the ball on time. But the Steelers are going to run the ball. They're going to give him an actual play action to work with. So theoretically, Russ can be fine. He just needs to throw 3 touchdowns to 1 interception, and that's all the Steelers truly want. Can he do it? We shall see. If so, I think the Steelers are a 10 or 11 win team. But I don't think anyone can say or predict that the Steelers are going to have consistency from the quarterback position. Like,
right.
regardless of who's in there, I don't think there's going to be consistency. They're still, I think, one of my favorite bets. Like,
Yeah,
Mike Tomlin's not going to go under 500.
he never has.
No. Why would we change it this year with a team that I believe is better than last year? So
Agreed. Yeah, I'm
hammering
with you.
that.
I'm taking the over. I agree.
Now to the AFC South, a division much worse than the North. We got the Texans, though, starting it off. They are at 9.5. They won 10 games last year. And again, I would assume the Texans are better this year. Like, in terms of the players you're putting out there, obviously you have film on you now. People are going to be able to scout you a little bit more. But with Stephon Diggs, that's a big improvement for your wide receiver too. You got a running game with Joe Mixon now. The running game was one of the worst in the NFL last year, and I think they can run the ball decently. Their offensive line is good. And defensively, I mean, they're extremely well coached, and they have some good – they got Danielle Hunter now. So, 10 wins, I would assume so, right?
I think so. I think just from star power alone, they'll get at least 8 wins. I think, and then grind out 2 more, especially in as weak of a division that they're in.
Yeah, I think this division's not that great, so I think 10 is more than doable. They can easily match what they did last year. They had some bad losses last year.
Yeah. Do you think? Are you on the boat that they can challenge Kansas City in the AFC?
No,
I don't think so either.
I mean, maybe it's biased. I don't think Stephon Diggs is a winner. So
no, 100% agreed.
I think he's gonna lose them some games down the stretch. But overall, their offensive coordinator and play caller, I think, is super good. D'Amico Ryans obviously he's a dog. He's so good. But yeah, they're going to be good. They're going to be tough to beat in the playoffs. I just think when it comes down to making a play, I think Mahomes is going to make a play, and I think Diggs is going to complain about him not being featured for that play.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm a Will Anderson guy. I'm a Jalen Petrie guy. I'm a Tank Dell guy. Like they have very, very good stars. I just wanted to bring up. I was scrolling TikTok last night. Saw a Brian Cushing highlight tape, and I forgot how much of a psychopath that guy was.
Yeah, that dude's scary. He is. Yeah. That whole era of linebackers, inside linebackers, there were some freaks. Just always bleeding from the nose too. Scary. Right. We got Colts at 8.5, which I think is a little surprising to me. I'm just seeing them play this preseason. I know you can't take a ton from the preseason. They look lost. Like
you think so?
I think so. I think their defense is borderline bad, and I think offensively, we've seen Anthony Richardson play one full game.
Yeah, you're right.
I just don't trust it. I think they might be able to figure it out towards the end of the year. But if you're saying, are they going to have a winning record? This isn't a winning team to me.
So I like the run game. I like what they can do in the run. I think that they can batter teams down. I think they get 4 wins against the Titans and the Titans and the Jaguars. I think they can split with the Texans. They're thinking 4-5-1 in the division. Probably not. Maybe that's just optimistic thinking on my part. I think if they ride Jonathan Taylor, that's the way to go. If Jonathan Taylor can get back to what he was, 2-3 years ago, and it's a really big ask, right? He led the league in rushing. He led the league in touchdowns. I think he's still got it in him. That's going to open up so many, different avenues for Anthony Richardson to work if they truly believe in him. To your point about the defense, yes, I agree with you. It's not the greatest defense. Can they win shootout games? Is the question. Maybe not if they have to rely on the run. It doesn't. 8.5 feels low to me for the Colts. I think that they can play well against the Texans at least.
They did play the Texans hard. This is a team that I think needs to go out and sign a running back too. That would make me feel a little more comfortable.
You probably can't bring Trey Sermon in as RB2 into this team for as much as the team needs to rely on the run.
Yeah, and tight end, I feel like this is a team that wants to feature a tight end, but they can't. Now Woods is out for the year once again. We'll see. They have a couple weak points on the offensive line that for some reason decided to refuse to address. But they do got a Green Bay guy in Bortolini. So if you have a Green Bay guy on the team, a lot can happen. Never know.
Yep.
Then we got Jacksonville. This is a team that is perpetually mid, I feel like. They are at 8.5 wins. They won 9 last year. Did they get better? Did they get worse? I truly don't know. They obviously lost Calvin Ridley. They gained Gabe Davis, which we've talked at exhaustion on like the fantasy show. Like Gabe Davis looks like someone playing a wide receiver 1 in a movie, but he's just not that. Like,
he has one good game. He has one good game like every 30 games.
Yeah. And so not a fan of him replacing Calvin Ridley. They got Brian Thomas Jr. there, who I was low on coming into the draft. We'll see what happens there. Running back wise, they continue to say that they want to feature Tank Bigsby a bit more. I don't believe them. And then defensively, I think they're fine. They're not bad. They're fine. I don't know.
Yeah, I was a big proponent of the Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence pairing. I still somewhat am. You would love to see the jump last year, right? Instead of 9 games, they lost like how many in a row to lose to end the year last year? That was last year, right?
Yeah,
that was not encouraging by any means. Like, this was a team that was supposed to challenge Kansas City last year. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen this year. They have too many holes to figure out. I think on offense and defense, like you said, they're fine on defense. Offense is fine, whatever. But it's just fine. It's not elite. It's not great. It's nothing special. Everyone's, and I feel like the public has kind of come down on Trevor Lawrence, rightfully so. We're waiting for the jump, right? And we just haven't seen it these last 3 years.
Yeah, the defense isn't good enough for Trevor Lawrence to keep putting them in bad situations. That's kind of the end of the year last year. He was a little bit banged up. I don't know if that's an excuse. I love Doug Peterson. Absolutely love Doug Peterson. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is a guy, but it is what it is. After saying all of that, because like I went through and did like my actual win projections, I have them winning 9 games, which I guess technically is over. But I think that is a phony team. I think Trevor Lawrence is a phony, but technically they're an over for me, and it's because of how bad I think the Colts are.
Yeah, it feels like a dirty over.
Yeah, it does. Titans are a team that made some noise today. They have done a few pretty great things, I feel like, this offseason, other than getting rid of Vrabel, which is the stupidest thing of all time.
Crazy.
So coaching-wise, I think they got a lot worse. But in terms of players they brought in, obviously they got J.C. Latham. Everyone knows how I feel about him. Kelvin Ridley's there now. They got Tyler Boyd there now. So the receiving core, all of a sudden, Treylon Burks goes from wide receiver 2 to wide receiver maybe 5. Thank God.
Love that.
Yeah, so offensively, they're decently better. They got Tony Pollard there now in a timeshare, as he should be. It comes down to how good Will Levis will be. He'll at least have some time to throw this year, which helps. And then defensively, they added L'Jarius Sneed, who is incredible at corner. And then they just traded for Ernest Jones, who's really good as well. So we're talking about how Jonathan Taylor is going to run over the Colts, which I think is probably true. That's a trade to ensure that he doesn't. Like, that's a trade to stop the running game in the division. So Titans are set at 6.5. I have them winning 8 games. I think they are clear over.
I don't know about 8, but I agree that they're over. You and Jake were on a couple weeks ago talking about the putting the NFL teams in tiers, and I couldn't agree with you more that the Titans are just the most meh team this year to me. And I agree with before they signed Ernest Jones, because Ernest Jones is a guy who feels like he maybe is the most underrated player in the NFL. Like, he's been a dog for the Rams the last couple of years. I think it's an incredible upgrade for them. I think the Titans are, like, they have probably one of the easier schedules. Well, they have the easiest schedule in the division, right? And I think the AFC South has, for the most part, an easy schedule. I think they'll be able to grind out some wins. As it probably comes down to a lot of teams, it's probably going to come down to Will Levis. But his cannon of arm, I mean, he has DeAndre Hopkins, which any quarterback would love to have. I'm with it. I don't hate the over. I'm probably more in the 7 range than your 8, but either way, they're over.
And the unfortunate thing about them this year, I would say, is they're going to give Will Levis a very long leash. Like, if they don't win games this year, they don't win games. And I feel like they don't care. They don't. This isn't a must-win year for them.
I was going to say, to be honest, after trading Malik Willis, they don't really have a reason not to throw Will Levis out there. No,
and if he's bad, then he's bad. But like, this is a team where it's like, can Jameis Winston come and throw to DeAndre Hopkins, please? Because I would love that. Tyler Huntley, that would be fine. Like, I'd have more trust in those types of guys, but
Get a
whatever.
Ryan Tannehill reunion.
Yeah, fine. Just throw the ball up. That's fine.
Yeah. To your point, Will Levis sucks. Then what? You get the third pick in the draft and draft Quinn Ewers. Perfect.
Correct. Yeah. There's zero pressure to move on from Will Levis this year.
Yeah.
Other than, I don't know DeAndre Hopkins' contract situation. I feel like he signed a couple of years, but is he there next year? Because if he's gone, that's a huge loss. But they did just sign Calvin Ridley for multiple years. So they are set up fine at the current moment. If only they had a Mike Vrabel as a coach, then I would believe in them.
Yeah, they could really use a guy like Mike Vrabel to coach the team right now.
Yeah. He's also in Cleveland. We forgot to say that. He's just coaching there for free, which is huge. Denver is the first AFC West team. They are projected at 5.5 wins. I think Bo Nix fits this offense perfectly. I think Sean Payton's still going to Sean Payton, and that's both good and bad. I think he does a little bit too much, but I think he's a good coach. Defensively, I think they lost some players. I don't think this is a good team, but I think they're going to be so within their own scheme offensively that they're just going to end up winning some games. So I have them at 6 wins, which is higher. I don't have a ton of confidence in that, but I think getting rid of Tim Patrick is stupid.
Horrible.
I think it's really dumb, but I think Bo Nix is going to look really good. I think he's going to possibly be the best rookie quarterback this season.
Yeah, I don't have a very strong opinion on Bo Nix either way. I think he's a guy. I mean, I hate when people bring up age, but I'm going to bring up age here. Like he's been around football for however long now. He's been playing the best teams in college for however long. I know that's an incredibly big jump from NFL to college, but at least he has that. He's got his guy with Troy Franklin, who I think is, probably sees a lot of time on the field this year. The running game, I'm interested to see how that shakes out. Jaleel McLaughlin was, he was good last year. And Javonte Williams, who I think is still a good player. We'll see coming off an ACL here, but this is another team. Like it's kind of like the Titans to me. Like let's just see something good out of our quarterback. If we win 4 games, if we win 5 games, fine, whatever. As long as we get some production, see some development. Lucky for them, they're in maybe the worst division in football outside of Kansas City. So can they pick up 2 wins against the Raiders? Yes. Can they pick up a win against the Chargers? Can they pick up maybe 2 against the Chargers? Probably. So you slot them in at 3 wins in the division. Can they find 3 wins somewhere else? Yeah, I can see it for sure.
This is a team. I mean, I can tell you Sean Payton's going to be preaching or has been preaching the entire offseason. Like, let's just not make mistakes. If we don't make mistakes, we're going to go 500 at least. Yeah. Like, Bo Nix feels like a quarterback who's just not going to make that many mistakes. He's going to try to be Drew Brees, right? Like, he's not going to be a huge, flashy player, make a ton of huge over-the-top plays. He's just going to get the ball out quickly, on time, to the right read. And then I think they're going to run the ball a lot. I think we're going to see a lot of Javonte Williams. I think Jaleel McLaughlin is going to get time. I think Estime is going to get a lot of time there. I think they're going to trade away.
He was good in Notre Dame last year.
Yeah. I think if Williams, for whatever reason, gets hurt or just does not pan out, I think that's the guy. I think they're just going to pivot to him.
Yeah, and I think, and rightfully so, because not a lot of people are talking about the Broncos, and I totally understand why, and everything. Cortland Sutton's still a very good receiver.
Yes. I think he's very good. I just think they need a number 2, and Franklin could be it. Josh Reynolds is a solid player. It sounds like they want to play Marvin Mims a bit more this year, which more than nothing essentially last year is not hard to do. They just need another guy. And I mean, I don't know why I'm just thinking about this now, but what level of surprise would you be when Michael Thomas signs here?
Yeah.
Sean Payton, all he wants to do is just play his own guys. That's all he wants to do.
Go to the coach that, made him the highest reception guy in NFL history.
Yeah. And a couple years ago, he wasn't bad when he played. It's just it's been health. And last year he played a healthy year. Now he just needs to get back into an offense that uses him. We'll see. We got the Chiefs. They are set at 11.5. Obviously, they played a lot of football the past couple of years, winning back-to-back Super Bowls. I think at some point you're going to get tired. I don't love that. Offensive line should be slightly better. They still get Jawan Taylor probably starting, but Suai Yamada is probably going to be the left tackle. Receiving core should be better. They made quite a few pickups there, even with Hollywood Brown getting hurt. And then defensively, I think they're worse. I think they're still pretty good, but losing Snead hurts. I think they lost a linebacker possibly. They lost somebody else. But they're still a really good team. 11.5. I think they're going to have hiccups. So like I have them penciled in at 11 wins, but this is not a team I'm betting the under on. Like I'm just not going to bet this.
I'll never bet the under on a Patrick Mahomes-led team, on an Andy Reid-led team, on a Travis Kelce-led team. They were 11-6 last year. It kind of feels like a similar year. You mentioned how much better did the Chiefs get than last year? I don't know that they got any better. They still have, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, one of the greatest tight ends of all time, one of the greatest coaches of all time, yada, yada. This feels like another 11-6 team where maybe they lose 2 games in a row, like week 8 and week 9. People are like, oh, is this finally the time the Chiefs fall off? And then they rattle off, 6 straight to end the year.
Yeah, it is what it is. Their defense, I think, is really going to struggle at points this year. But I think they'll figure it out towards the end of the year.
It's another thing. It's another thing too, where like it's Patrick Mahomes just dominates the AFC West. Like they're going to go 6-0 in the division.
Yeah. To your point, they just don't have much pressure. I don't trust Justin Herbert to even be playing both of those games. Then I'm not afraid of Gardner Minshew or Bo Nix at this point.
Right.
So it is what it is. Receiving, are the Chiefs better than last year? I don't know. I think they're going to be different. Last year, they had to win with their running game and defense. This year, I think they're going to have to throw it a bit again. Like, they're going to have to rely on Patrick Mahomes more than they did last year. Well, how big of a role will Xavier Worthy have? How big of a role will Juju Smith-Schuster have? He's now back. They got rid of Kadarius Toney, which suggests to me that they feel like they have enough explosion on their offense. Like, say whatever you want about Kadarius Toney, he's a freak athletically, and it sounds like they feel pretty good about Mecole Hardman, who I think is still there. And right. Yes, he's there. So he's a freak athletically, and then we got Xavier Worthy. Obviously, we know his speed, and we'll see Sky Moore. Like they like Sky Moore. He just needs to be healthy.
Yeah. Plus, they get Hollywood back after 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah. Rashee Rice. As much as people want to be like, oh, yeah, he fucked up, so he's gone. Chiefs, big loss for the Chiefs. I mean, I think he's going to play the whole year.
For sure.
It's going to be a next year thing.
His court date's not till December, and that's, if anyone knows anything about court, it takes, 6 months to figure out a next court date. Yeah, he's fine.
It's just like the Alvin Kamara thing.
Yeah.
Like people keep treating like, oh, he's not going to play. Rashee Rice is going to have a very good year. And you can think whatever you want about it. Public perception could be whatever you want, but he's a very good player.
For fantasy talk, he's an incredible value right now for fantasy football.
Yeah. I don't know exactly where he's going, but I know he's not getting talked about.
Like 6th, 7th round or something.
Stupid. Like I feel like Hollywood even has more like steam behind him.
Xavier Worthy too.
Yeah, Xavier Worthy I expected just because he's the flashy new toy.
Right.
People are going to get excited about it. People are going to be disappointed at how little snaps he plays to start the year, probably.
Yeah.
Raiders are at 6.5. They won 8 games last year. They had that really strong end of the year, obviously, with Antonio Pierce coming in. They named Gardner Minshew the quarterback, even though Devontae Adams said one thing this offseason, that he wants Aiden O'Connell. I don't know why they would have done that, but it is what it is. Not saying Minshew's worse than O'Connell. I would just listen to your wide receiver one. This is a team, right? We talked about during draft process that the Raiders need offensive line in the absolute worst way. They decided to ignore that. So other than Jackson Powers Johnson, he's a stud. But there's only so much a center or guard can do for your offense. I expect the quarterback to be under a lot of pressure. I don't expect Brock Bowers to make their team any better whatsoever. And defensively, they got Christian Wilkins next to Max Crosby, which is scary. But if they don't get to the quarterback, they're fucked.
Yeah, it feels like this team is really easy to beat. Just throw, flat routes, throw slants, throw quick passes on defense. Like I think I'm totally, and I'm a Gardner Minshew guy. I'm a Devontae Adams guy. I hate the Raiders this year, man. I think outside of Devontae Adams, where does production come on this offense? People are like really split opinion on Zamir White. I think it's gonna be hard for him to find holes. Alexander Madison's there. That doesn't really do anything for you, right? I think the Raiders struggle to put up points here, and in total, I'm taking the under. I think the Raiders are sneaky, the worst team in the NFL this year. They're finished with the worst record, and I think this is definitely like a Shedeur Sanders landing spot, Quinn Ewers landing spot. So as much as it sucks as a Devontae Adams guy, I'm out on the Raiders.
Yeah, that honeymoon period with Pierce is gone. Now it's just okay. Now you're playing for a coach, and there's Raiders fans. A lot of Raiders fans I've seen legitimately talking about how they believe Jacoby Myers is the best wide receiver on their team.
That's crazy.
If that's the case, please trade Devontae. For the love of God, get him out. He does not deserve that fucking team.
Yep.
Even though he chose it. Last team in the AFC, we'll talk about NFC at a later date. We got the Chargers at 8.5 wins, so a full 2 games above the Raiders in the odds. Feels a little crazy to me. They won 5 games last year, obviously, with one of the worst coaching jobs in NFL history, I would argue.
For sure.
Justin Herbert already hurt, plantar fascia. He's back at practice and stuff like that, but I don't believe it's 100%. Obviously, Harbaugh's there. Harbaugh's electric. He's incredible. How big of a difference do you think Harbaugh makes in year 1? That's what we're betting, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a whole different culture, right? Like Anthony Lynn's out. Who's the guy last year? Whatever. It sucked.
I can't even think of his name. I can picture him. Brandon Staley.
Yeah, both are maybe the 2 worst coaches in NFL history. It's a whole new culture. Like they're probably they're gonna rely a lot on the run. I mean, Harbaugh took 2 running backs from his brother in Baltimore that are probably going to be used extensively, which are going to have to be, because I don't know about you. I'm still a Justin Herbert guy. I think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. He can sling it when he's healthy. The only problem is keeping him healthy. I don't hate this Chargers offensive line by any means. I'm sure you can talk more about it. They have guys. Rashawn Slater stays healthy. He's probably one of the better tackles. So we'll see what we get out of Joe Alt here. I think it really comes down to their defense. Derwin James gets like lauded as one of the best NFL players in the league. I think it's a little overrated. He is a very good player. I don't know. I think the Chargers probably struggle to win games. Did you say what their line is at?
I think it's 8.5. Yeah, 8.5. So do you think they have a winning record or no?
I don't. 9 feels like a lot for the Chargers. I don't know that if they go under that, I don't necessarily think it's bad. They're kind of in that weird, we're rebuilding, but we have pieces that we can use in a rebuild. We have our quarterback, we have Derwin James, we have Rashawn Slater, we have some guys. So maybe they add some guys next year. I can definitely see that going over, but I'm not with it this year.
Yeah, this is a team who desperately, I think, needs to be looking at that QB2 market that is suddenly has a few players, because they still have Easton Stick. Should not be Easton Stick. They've seen what he can do. Tight end wise, I think they're fine. They got Will Dissly, who we both like. They got Hayden Hurst there. Offensive line, I think they're good. They're just not super strong in the middle. They need a better center, but if you can hide one position, center. Wide receiver,
nothing.
Like, I truly don't know. I think Ladd McConkey's good.
Sure.
I think he's good. DJ Chark, not excited about. Josh Palmer, he's a role player, not excited about him. Quentin Johnston, they are adamant that they're going to use a lot more, and they're going to manufacture ways to get him the ball, which
is that a good thing?
I mean, it's Greg Roman. So if I hear Greg Roman say that in my head, I know what he's saying. He's saying jet sweep. Because I know Greg Roman. He's not going to throw the ball. So let's hand the ball to Quentin Johnston. But yeah, running back wise, Gus Edwards, dog. J.K. Dobbins, people forget how good he is, and maybe he's not. We'll have to see. And then they signed Jarrett Patterson, who played for Buffalo. University of Buffalo. I like him a lot. I think he can actually make a little bit of noise here. It just comes down to quarterback. I don't trust Justin Herbert to play the full season, given his initial injury. So I have him at 8 wins, just below it. And to your point, that's not a bad thing. That's a 3-game improvement from last year, which is pretty big. So, is what it is. In terms of confidence level, if you want to look back on some of these, what are your must bets from the AFC?
The Jets were at 8.5.
9.5.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. I think Bills under for sure. I think Raiders under. Yeah, I'm trying to make a case for the Colts. I think I don't know. So it's probably Raiders, Jets, Bills for me, or must bet.
Steelers are still a must bet for me. I think they get a winning record. I am not willing to. I mean, it's been my blind bet every single year. It's like, okay, where is it at? Winning percentage. That's all you got to do. I'll take it. Titans at 6.5. That feels like a line that's going to move over the next week. Like, I don't see them being that much lower than Jacksonville and Indy. I don't get it. Like, they have to be over for me, even though, I mean, they're giving Vrabel a lot of respect, and rightfully so. But for them to win 7 games, I think is more than doable. Jets, I like the Jets to win 10 games. But there's a lot of weird ones. Like Kansas City again, I can't touch it. Buffalo, I feel like I probably can't touch that. Miami, I need to bet Miami. Miami under for me for sure. It's too big of a difference from what I actually wrote down. And what do you think about Patriots? I'm pretty confident about Patriots going under 4.5.
Probably, right? Like when it's all said and done, we'll do NFC, whenever. Patriots are probably the worst team in the NFL, right? When it comes down to win-loss record. I'm with it. Yeah, I would throw money at that.
Yeah, like if you're assuming the Patriots are a top 4 pick next year, which I think almost everybody would assume that, they got to be under 5 wins, I would think.
Yeah, I think they go 0-6 in the division.
Yeah, and if they do that, they're going to have a tough time elsewhere for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else before we get out of here?
I don't think so, man. It's nice to be back on stream talking football. It kind of felt like a longer off season, but it always feels like a long off season.
It was. I mean, usually we do a little bit more football talk, I feel like, too. But if you guys are just watching this, definitely subscribe to the Flurry Sports YouTube channel. We will have multiple football shows every single week. Tentatively, Wednesday nights, we always do a show. I'm going to try to do a show Monday during the day, I think, about like fantasy football news, like injuries and things that happened. But then hopefully we also get an ad drop show and a start sit show somewhere in there as well. But if you have any ideas or things that you specifically want to see, I know we talked about a trade show in terms of analyzing and grading trades. I think that'd be super fun if we figure out a way to do that, whether it be live or not. I'll throw this idea out there right now just because I thought about it today. I think it would be kind of funny if we could figure out how to do it, but like a Shark Tank style, but somebody brings in their trade and they're pitching their trade, why they think they should do it or something like that. I feel like there's something there. Like we're the Sharks. And it would be somebody, we'd have to have somebody actually come on to the show. Like it would be like a call line essentially, not just people in the chat.
Yeah.
I think that could be good if there's audience interaction or demand for that. Could be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't hate it.
But yeah, a lot of fantasy football content, both on flurrysports.org and the Flurry Sports YouTube channel this year. Definitely subscribe.
Check out our
college football content coming as well.
Yeah, check out our YouTube for sure. I know Trevor was out recording, doing mock drafts, building around a player. Those are always fun to watch because everyone always has the guy that they want and how they can build a team around it. Yeah. If you have, I mean, a lot of times you'll know your draft position as well. So if you know you're going to be a number 5, you know you're going to be number 6, whatever, like this is the guy you're going after. Definitely go watch those. We have Christian McCaffrey up right now, and the next one coming out might be Tyreek Hill.